All right, hello boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be doing a simple animation in After Effects. So I'm going to bounce over here to After Effects, and what we're going to be doing is a simple animation, something like this. We're going to learn how to make things move, how to hide things, and how to apply some mask. So this is what we'll be doing today. Okay, to get started, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go up here and go to File, and we're going to create a new project. Say New Project up here. Okay, and yes, we want to save those changes there. We're going to make a new composition. If we were importing some footage, we would use that, but we're just going to go ahead and make a new composition. The composition we're going to call, and let's just call it Moving Words. We're going to make this 1080 by 1080. Just going to make a square here, 24 frames per second. And we're just going to keep a black background. We're going to go ahead and create that and say OK. All right. Just have a black square. Up here we have our objects and our assets that we can add into it. Here's our actual frame there, our preview frame, and then we have our timeline down here. Then we have our libraries over here, all the different things that we can do. Okay. First thing we want to do, we want to put something in here. So this is in After Effects, if we want to make anything animate, we have to put it on its own layer, right? So if I want to move a word across the screen here, I have to put it on its own layer. So we're going to go up here to Layer, and we're going to say New. And let's just make a new text layer. Okay, so let's take the word, and over here you see we've got our properties. I've got Helvetica regular 36 point and everything. So if I wanted to set that, I can scrub left to right. When I see these little arrows, they're going to be very common here, and After Effects uses a lot because there's lots of little settings that we can scrub left and right. Or I can also click in here and I could set, I don't know, let's say 75 points, and I'll make it that big. Okay, I'm just going to type a word. And go ahead and type word. There's my word. Okay, now up here in my toolbar, I've got some tools. Right now I've got that text tool because I made a new text layer, and I've got my move tool right here, the selection tool. It's V, just like in most Adobe programs, where I can move these things around. Make sure you turn off caps lock there, because that will hide your elements there if you have that on. So I can move those things wherever I want them. Okay, so what I want to do, I'm going to go down here, and I have a new layer. Now you'll see down here I've got a layer, and if I click under here, I've got some different options here, and I've got these pop out options. I can tell the source, path options, and all of that. But I have transform. Transform, like it does in Photoshop, means to move it or change it in some way. You can change the size, the rotation, the skew, the opacity, all kinds of different things. Most of our basic animations that we're going to deal with are going to be under transform. So let's say we want to move this from here, and we want this word to just go to the left over here, right? So let's go and let's move that, right? So I'm going to click on transform, and I can open it up here, and I've got my different, I've got anchor point, position, scale, rotation, opacity, and there's lots of other ones we can add, but let's just say the scale, right? So if I wanted to make it bigger, right? So right now it's at 100. So if I go right here and I scrub over, you can see I can make it bigger. So now my word is bigger. Excellent. Okay. Now that did not make an animation, right? Because all I did was change the value here. These little stopwatches here imply that I want to add an animation. Okay, so let's go to position here, right? So if I want to go from a position from where it's at right now, and I want to move it over to here, well, I want to click this stopwatch like I'm going to do right now. Okay, now once you see that I do that, it's going to drop a little keyframe right here automatically when I do that. So that keyframe now that says when the video starts at 0 seconds, that is where it's going to be in position. Okay, now if I scrub down the timeline, let's say I go to 2 seconds here. I'm going to go right to 2 seconds. Okay, I can drop right there. I can also go up here and type number 2 in the timeline right here. But at 2 seconds, let's move it, and let's say I want it to be on the other side of the screen. And I'm just going to go ahead and scrub it all the way over because I'm not sure exactly of the number. Okay, and that's 1040. That sounds good right there. Okay, and you see when I move that, it's now going to have a new keyframe dropped at 2 seconds. Okay, so what's going to happen is when I go from 0 to 2 seconds, it is going to add that animation and move it across the screen like so. Okay, if I want to test my animation, I can take it back to 0, and I can hit my space bar, and it'll show me the animation. Okay, and it's going to keep going out to 30 seconds because that's where we made it to. Okay, spacebar again, and it'll stop. Okay, now we have the idea of easy in and easy out, or ease in and ease out, slow in, slow out, where things like less mechanical when they don't start from a certain point and move across the screen at a regular pattern, very robotic. So things kind of like a car starts at a slow pace and quickly accelerates, and then when it stops, it slows down gradually and then comes to a stop. We want to add that. We can do that very easily, right? So I can either click on a keyframe and I can just right click on that, and I can go to Keyframe Assistant and say easy in and easy out, right? Or easy in, ease will add both on both sides, okay? Alternatively, I can click down here if I want it on both the start and the stop. You see I can grab them individually. I can hold shift and I grab both of them. Or I can just click on the position icon over here and it'll grab all the keyframes and it'll do that as well. And then I can right click on that again, go to Keyframe Assistant and say easy in and easy out, or easy ease. And you'll see your icon now reflects that I have ease on those. And when I play it, it's going to add that effect to there. All right. Now, the other thing we want to do, let's go ahead and add another element on here. Okay. Let's go ahead and add on here. I'm going to go ahead and just poke out the eyeball right here. So we can focus on one thing and all. Let's add another thing. Let's add a shape. Okay, so let's go up here and we're going to go layer. And like I said, if we want to animate something else, it needs to be on its own layer. Let's go new and let's do a new shape layer. Our new shape layer goes right in the middle here. Okay, I've got my shape tool here, and I'm just going to make a shape with a line tool. I'm just going to get my pen tool here. Okay, so I'm going to make a point. I'm going to come down and I just want to make a straight line, and I'm going to make a straight line there. Okay, now I have on my straight line, I've got no fill on this line, and I have a stroke, and I'm just going to put a basic stroke on here, and that stroke I want to have is 10 pixels. If I wanted to make it bigger or smaller, I could, or I can just type the word number 10, so I've got 10 pixels there. Okay, so there is my shape layer. Okay, now I made that share, my timeline was over here. Okay, so going over here, I'm going to go ahead and scrub all the way back to 0. Okay, and let's add another animation. Let's say that at 2 seconds, I want my line to expand from a single dot and go all the way up into full size at 100%. So at 0, I'm going to go to my shape layer, and I'm going to, this time I'm just going to hit the letter S. We'll pull up my scale. Okay, and that's going to pull that scale, and I want to add an animation. Okay, so I'm going to hit the little time clock here. It's going to add a keyframe. You see, we got a keyframe, and I want that scale. And I want that scale to be, I'm going to go ahead and put 0. So 0% scale, meaning it's completely hidden. And then I'm going to scrub out here to 2 seconds. And at 2 seconds, I want that scale to be 100%. So that when I play my animation, my object will go from 0 to 100%. Okay, now I can see that my object is a little off center here. So I'm going to click on that right there, and I'm going to go up here to my layer, transform, and I'm going to center that anchor point in layer content, just to center that there. Get my move tool. I could also manually grab it with my pan tool here as well. And that is how I'm going to get my object to be centered and come out from the center. Excellent. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and turn our word back on here. So now we have our word that's going to go from one side to the other. Okay, now let's say I want to hide my word, and when it's on the right side of that line, I want it to disappear, and when it comes across that line, I would like it to appear, right? So to do that, we're going to apply a mask to this. Okay, so to apply a mask, we are going to go up here to layer, and you can make a shape, you could make an object, you could even do it with another word, but we're just going to do it with just a basic block here. So let's just go up here, and I'm going to say that I want to have a new layer. Okay, and let's just do a solid layer. Okay, It's going to come on solid, just the 1080p whole thing, dark gray solid. Let's go ahead and let's just make it red just so we can see it a little bit better here, okay? And then you can see I've got that, and I'll say, okay, got a red square. Folds right over top of that, okay? All right, now I want to make this a mask, okay? So to make this a mask, I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to say mask. I'm going to say new mask, okay? Now it's a mask. It's got a little line around it. I've got my move tool here, and I'm going to move it, okay? So at 2 seconds, I want to be able to have, grab it here, and I'm going to have it right to the side of that line there, okay? Now I'm going to apply my, when I turn this off, you can see that's where it is. Okay, now I want to apply that mask to the word word, right? So over here, I need to make sure that I can attach that with my track mat. Now I don't see it. If you don't see it, it's going to be up here where I go to columns. I want to make sure that modes is on. Okay, and modes you'll see track mat. So right here, I see the word word, and it says no. It says track mat here. Okay, and it says no mat. Let me turn this back on. And I want to set it to that medium red solid. And now you'll see that I can see the word and I can't see the mask. And what's going to happen is it's going to mat out right there. So now that only when that word is in front of that mat will it appear, because that mat has been attached. Okay, if I want to move my mat, I simply click on this, I get my move tool, and then I could move my mat over. And you see when I move it over, it also affects the word and the visibility of that word. All right, with those simple things, I want you to go ahead and make an animation. And what I want you to do is to have one word coming to the left with the track mat applied to it. I want one word going to the right with a word with a track mat attached to it. And then I want you to try and add 2 to 3 more animations. Like I said, you have all kinds of different ones that you can do. So say if you wanted to move your object, right? So if I want to take my shape and at, let's just say after 4 seconds, I want that to rotate, right? I could go on here into my shape, and I can come down here, go to transform, and I could say rotation, right? If I wanted to add a rotation at this, at 0 right there, and then when it gets to 1 second, I want it to rotate, let's say 360 degrees. And I say that, okay? And then we go ahead and we play it there. You can see that it's going to rotate 360 degrees. Okay, so that is what I'm asking you to do. All right, take your time. Make sure you use your eyeballs or your best tool for making this work. If it looks weird, try to adjust it. All right, be creative, and I'll talk to you soon.